Hi guys, this is David Graham of Code Ninjas. I am the CEO of Code Ninjas, and this is the executive call. Thanks for joining us this week. Marty usually does the call, but he is en route back to Minnesota. We had a very successful few days here in our headquarters. With over 30 people joined us for Discovery Day this week. We also did new franchisee training at the beginning of the week, which was very exciting. Just the energy from this event and everything that people bring and the ideas that people bring, the questions they ask, it always gets us fired up for the next go-round, the next month or so. This month, however, we have a unique opportunity, so much interest that we're doing 2 Discovery Days, and the next one will be in 2 weeks. So we get the double reward this month, which will be great. A couple of other announcements. We have been recently made aware that in December, a very popular franchising magazine listed us as the top 10 hot franchise trend of 2018. This is one of those things where that could really set us apart. We already think we were set apart, but in a big way nationally, we get a lot of recognition from this, and it's just another validation point on our list that lets us know that we're doing things right, that we're being rewarded for having done it right and bringing the right people on board. Tons of new franchisees every week we're seeing getting started up. We're now in 14 states, including new locations in Florida and New Jersey, which, every time we add a new state, it's just great to see. I mean, the bullet points on the map are growing. We're opening centers as early as November. Going to be moving into January and the first quarter of next year with just a ton of openings. So we're really excited around here. If this is the first time you've heard this call or joined us for the message, I wanted to welcome you. I hope that you've been in touch with either Jeff or Marty over the last few weeks. If you haven't, you need to get in touch with Marty real quick. He's our Vice President of Franchising. You can reach him at Marty at codeninjas.com. That's MARTY at codeninjas.com. And he can get you set up and started on this path. Allow a lot of people get on the call and they're getting information. And if you're like me, I was a franchisee once upon a time, you're kind of sitting in the wings and getting all your ducks in a row. But our team is really here and specialized to get you down the path and just let you know the information. We don't, we're not selling this. We're not, getting people to do something they don't want to do. So sometimes it's easier just to give us a call or get us an email, and then we can just lead you straight to the information you're looking for, whether that's financing or just support in any way. So really the best first step is to reach out to Marty or Jeff and get the ball rolling. Excuse me, my voice is a little bit cracking this morning, but allergies and whatnot, but I think I can push through. I'd like to start by letting you guys know a little history about where we came from. My team here has worked together off and on, anywhere from 7 to 13 years. There's nobody on our team really that has not worked together at some point. We all enjoy working together. It's a team that's been successful in other businesses. The last business we started was teaching adults how to code. We ran that for, about 4 years, and we were very successful there. Had a very high success rate of getting people into a vocation of programming. We then moved into programming for kids because it was a natural progression for us. We saw this as an opportunity to do something that people were demanding while we were doing other businesses and stuff. Every week somebody would come up to me and say, hey, can my kid get involved with programming through your business? And we were really excited about the opportunity as soon as we had it to bring something like this to the table. A lot of people this week asked me, why did you choose franchising? And I guess the answer to that is we chose franchising because we had the skills, the abilities, the people, and the motivation to be the biggest and the best out there as quickly as possible. There's no instrument out there in business world that gets a company as widespread with as much recognition and brand and just presence physically than franchising. And we had worked with the guys at Marty and Jeff in a previous business doing franchise work, and we knew that they were rock stars. They have 20, 30 years experience between them in franchising, and we knew that what we could do, and with a timely product like Code Ninjas, we were going to bring it to market and be very successful. And that's what we're seeing. Now we're seeing this validation of our idea, and it's just, we're sitting back kind of like, yeah, this is actually working. This is actually coming together, and it's awesome. So things are happening very fast around here. It seems like every week there's new people coming through, new ideas. But we always stay focused on what our core is. And our core is the kids have fun and parents see results. And so we're very centered on building new curriculum, building new plans. This week we had an opportunity to talk to a lot of new people that wanted to know a lot about our curriculum. And so I want to address some of those things right now. The curriculum is the core of our organization, and we get that. And I personally take a vested interest in a lot of the time built into our curriculum. But our curriculum team is more than just me. We have graphic designers, we have web designers, we have tool builders. Just a ton of people put effort and time into it. So every single quarter, we're releasing a new curriculum and a new product, with that idea in mind that kids have to have fun. And I think this is whenever we were deciding to do Code Ninjas, this is one of the real big selling points that we thought we could make in the marketplace, is that, we could bring to market a lectoral or a lecture style class where kids come in and listen to somebody for an hour, talk about how to code, and we could step by step walk them through in a classroom setting. But I think the real differentiator for Code Ninjas is that we're not that. We're not more school for kids. We're more than that, because they come to us, want to keep coming to us because it's fun. We keep every single day fun at the dojo. So, we're breaking the mold of the traditional after-school education model, and I call this edutainment. It's not a word I made up. It's kind of a reuse of the word, but I think that's really what we are. And so if you're coming to us thinking that we're just a curriculum, I think that's selling us a little short, because we're not just a curriculum. We're an experience for kids. We're a team building experience. We're a part education experience. We're a having fun experience. And the other side of that coin, though, is parents are paying for it. And parents want to see that their kids are making progress through a program that's going to benefit them. And so our line that we put in the lobby is kids have fun and parents see results. So the parents see results side is just equally as important, and we do that through a number of different ways. First of all, we want to make sure we're communicating with the parent in the way that they want to be told. So some parents come to us and they're like, just give me a recap. Let's just talk about what he did and then point to me on the map, so to speak, of where he's in the process. And they're fine with that. Some people want to get an email recapping what he did that day and showing links to where he needs to go. And then others want to be really in-depth, like, why is this lesson important in the whole path of that student's life with us, or more specifically, their child's life with us. So we offer all of that, so we try to hit it across the board, making sure that parents who are lay people for the most part, 99% of our parents aren't programmers, so they don't really know the programming world or how it works or how we can move them down a path. So we had to talk to them at their level, explain it in terms that they can understand, and show them how learning functions and control statements and Boolean expressions today means that the kid can build these kinds of games tomorrow. And that's an important step, and we take it very seriously. So I think those are the bigger differentiators for Code Ninjas, compared to the other guys out there in the education after school space. I know it's like easy to try to compare us to a Kumon or a Sylvan, but I just don't think that that's what we do here. Those organizations have been around for a long time. They're very successful, and they do a great job, frankly, at teaching math and reading. we're not trying to be them. You know, I think if they added a coding class, and Sylvan already has one, if they added that, I don't think it would be edutainment. I don't think it would be driving kids into their center. I don't think they're branded or marketed or put together to be the fun place. And that's what we are. So I think that's the biggest differentiator between what we do and how we move forward into the future. Now, I do have some other really great announcements. Over the last couple of weeks, we negotiated and finalized some really amazing deals with a manufacturer that has 1,300 facilities open in Japan, and we are now officially the exclusive licensee of their material, their lessons, and their block system for building robotics kits, and it is just amazing. We have 16 different lessons right now that we're ninjifying, so to speak, and it's going to become a very quick part of our curriculum. We have a little, what I call the tackle box right now. It's a kit that the kids are going to buy and bring home and be able to play with and show their friends and brag about. That kit is going to have an additional 30 or so projects that we're bringing to market soon. It's just a really, really cool product, and we are the only ones that, in North America, that's the United States and Canada, that's going to be able to do it. And so that is, I mean, it's a game changer for us. There's nobody else out there that's going to have anything like it in the robotics space or coding world. And what we're planning to do is add this into our coding track, because all of the activities with the robotics kits do require a little bit of coding, and it's drag and drop style, kind of like Scratch or something like that. So it's real easy for any kid to adapt to, but it teaches them how to bring it into the real world, which is so important with the next phase of automation and everything coming down the road. So that'll be part of the regular track curriculum, but we're also going to take all 46 of those lessons and have an additional track eventually. So the reason this came up is because my son, of all people, is like the one kid that I couldn't convince to go to Code Ninjas. You know, it's ironic, but he's just a skateboard kind of dude. He likes to hang out outside. He's not really into video games like the rest of them. But I asked him, I said, Dylan, while we were testing all these robotics kits and stuff, I said, Dylan, you really seem to like this. He said, Dad, I love it. I said, well, what if we had Code Ninja set up where you just did the robotic stuff and that was your whole track? He said, Dad, I would do that every day. Can we start that this week? And I said, well, Dylan, slow down a little bit. I said, well, what we can do is we can work through all these projects. And he did, man. He came in here. He would sit up here in the office, and he was diligent in going through everything. So what it did was open my eyes to a lot of new opportunities for us to engage with kids at different levels. You know, Dylan's a smart kid. He's not necessarily a programmer, though. You know, he's an engineer. He's building. He's a kid that, you know, he saves all the boxes in our house and builds mailboxes and all kinds of birdhouses and stuff. He's always building something. So this is another way that we can reach more kids in our market space. And this is what buying into a franchise does for you. Buying into a franchise, you get the benefit of all of our research and all of our efforts and all of our time bringing new products to market in a timely way, so that you can, you know, at the end of the day, it's a business, and you want to increase that bottom line. And so that's what we do. We're always going to be adding new products, new ability to reach new students, and marketing efforts and the like. One of the cool things I saw a lot of hands go up this week was about our marketing efforts. Andy Giefer is our director of marketing, and he was here this week, and we really saw a lot of enthusiasm around what he's doing. As a franchise, we know that reaching those students and parents alike are the most important part. It does have a viral kind of concept once you get into the market space and the kids are telling all their friends at school and everything like that. But we also want to be very programmatic about how we roll out a new facility so that we can duplicate that success over and over again. So what we talked about here was the 16 steps in the 16 weeks, the numerous steps in the 16 weeks before you open your center. And you know, we went detail by detail about every single bit of that. And Andy goes through in a very good way and shows how corporate's going to do certain things for you, like setting up your Facebook profile and getting your social game going, and then what you need to do as well. How do you need to spend that startup money into your grand opening, and what's an ongoing spend for your marketing look like? And another thing that we've recently done was we brought in a new preferred vendor, Fishman PR, and they're going to start doing on-the-ground local press releases and public relations management for, especially for the rollout. And so that's a huge win. They're the largest in the franchising world, and they were excited to join our team and do that for our franchisees. So all of these things are culminating together to give you both the buy side on the marketing and the public relations side on the earn side of your outgoing message. It's just exciting times. We're seeing growth in our center, and that was through Harvey, one of the worst natural disasters ever, and we're still seeing some growth. We took care of our community through that, and so I think that's so important. People came to us and said, you know what, I just lost my house. I can't afford, the $225 a month or whatever it was. Can you give us a reprieve? And so we put them on freezes for a couple of months. In a few cases, it was extreme, and we gave them refunds. I mean, we really tried to take care of our community, and it's coming back to us. People are, posting on social media, telling us how they, a company is doing this because that company has a heart and they care about our community. And that's the best kind of message that we can get out there, because we do care about our communities. We want our centers to be tech communities and tech centers and hubs for the whole community. In just a few minutes, I'm going to go ahead and start up a Q&A session. That's your opportunity to get in here and ask me a few questions. I do have kind of a hard stop today that's a little bit earlier than normal, but I'll go, and that's why I'm cutting my normal spiel here a little bit short. But I do want to get some questions. If you have any questions, you can by hitting *6. You can hit *6 on your phone at any time, and that'll raise your hand, put yourself in the queue, and we'll get going. Well, no questions in the queue just yet. So in the interim, I will talk a little bit about the next steps for people. Usually next steps looks like if you're already kind of looking over things. Most people, the next step would be to go to a Discovery Day. The Discovery Day events, we just had one, like I said, yesterday. It's awesome. We had 30-something people here yesterday, and just tons of people interested in the same thing that you are. So you're all collaborating, talking about territory, talking about where you're at. It's just a really fun time to meet with entrepreneurs, and the excitement is palpable. You'll get to meet also with some preferred vendors while you're here, and just make sure everything is working and working for you. It's what you're expecting. So we welcome you to get involved with that. We have another one coming up later this month. So, hi, you have a question?
Hey, yes, I do.
Can you tell me your name and what territory you're looking at?
My name is JP. I'm calling from New Jersey.
Hey, JP. How are you?
Hey, good. So thank you for the brief. My question is around a few things. One is I would like to know how many centers are up and running right now, because you have been talking about the changes in curriculum and a slash in the price that you offered for people who went through the hurricane. So I'm curious to know how many centers are up and running at this point, and where all, which all cities.
Yeah, so we're very early. That's a great question. We're very early. We have the one flagship center open right now. Some franchisees will be opening in the next few months. We now have 28 franchisees for a total number of locations, I think at 59 locations. So those will be opening in very, very fast order, but right now we only have the one open.
So that is up and running since when?
March.
Since March, okay.
I'm sorry, 30 total franchisees and 56 locations. I just checked.
Okay, so since March, there has been like it's been a continuous flow of batches of students who are willing to commit their time to learn and have fun. Right. Okay. Now,
yeah, that's right. We've actually exceeded all of my expectations for that center.
Mm-hmm. Perfect. My next question is, around the whole idea about, this concept of getting students in to learn how to code and also, have fun. When I look at the daily life of a student, I believe the age category that you're looking at is between 7 and 14, if I'm not wrong.
That's correct.
So, I mean, a typical day for these kids are usually, they start early for school and they are up like mid-afternoon, right? So, I mean, what is the whole USP behind? How do you sell this to a parent who sends whose kids are basically spending most of their time in school, and they have tons and tons of homeworks and catch-ups to be done during their normal weekdays? So are we only targeting an aftercare kind of a setup out here, or, how are you trying to get more kids?
Yeah, I understand what you're saying. I think it's a little bit confused maybe, but let me go ahead and explain our basic 3 offerings, and maybe that'll clarify some things. And it's the only one that is actually required by all of our franchisees, is called drop-in program. That means that kids can come in for 1 hour, 2 times a week. That's the way we run it. 1 hour, 2 times a week, anytime they want to, between 3 and 6 o'clock. Now, those hours and the number of times a week, that's totally up to the franchisee, but they do have to offer a minimum of 2 times a week. And generally speaking, I think it's going to be 1 hour sessions. In these sessions, the kids are in there and they're having a great time. They're learning with their other people in the class. It's not like a class session, though. You're not lecturing. They're going through the material in a self-paced program. So they pick up the book, they go over to their desk, they go to their computer, and they talk to their buddy next to them, and they go through the program together. So they're having a great time. That's the drop-in program. The next program is the summer camps. So summer camps are a little bit more group-based. Those are, typically during the summertime or during breaks. They're going to be a half-day or a full-day program, meaning half-day being 8 to 12 and a full day being 8 to 4. We charge $200 for the half-day and $300 for the full day. And the full day isn't anything more than just a little extra time to do whatever collaborative work we're working on. So it's not like we're teaching 2 different classes. Those are overlapping at the same time. And we let parents know that, that the rest of the day is basically just having fun. And so those programs, we had over 200 students go through the summer camp programs this past summer, and those were wildly successful. And while they are a profit center for our schools, that is not the only reason that we do them. Really, those are a driver. We give each student a voucher that they can use within 7 days to apply whatever they spent on their summer camp into coming in the drop-in program. We want that recurring revenue model. So we allow them just to come right on over and basically give them their first month free into drop-ins. And we saw that to be about 70 to 80% successful, getting kids over into the drop-in. Now, the other thing, which is what you kind of alluded to, was our after-school program. That's where we actually pick kids up from the school, bring them back to the facility. They come in, get a snack, do their homework. A couple of times a week, they'll do the Code Ninjas curriculum, and the other couple of days a week, they'll do some other STEM-based activity or play a game that's STEM-based. And then 1 day a week on a Friday, that's pretty much just a fun day. And then their parents pick them up at whatever time they get off work, usually around 6:30, something like that. So that's called the after-school program. That's billed monthly, about $450 a month. Does that kind of give you a little more insight into what they're doing?
Yes. Yeah, it does. Thank you so much.
All right. So I don't have any other questions in the queue, but I'll keep going here. If you have a question, raise your hand and ask it. just hit *6 on your phone and follow the directions, and you can ask a question or get in the queue. Oh, here's a question.
Hey, how are you? This is Hector. I'm in Katy, Texas. And
Hi.
just kind of piggybacking on your last answer. So you said this is a self-paced training type material. Is there any limitation regarding of doing it on-site versus taking it on their house? Kind of what's the incentive of taking, driving them in? Because if it's a CBT type course, what's the difference between having the facility versus just putting it online and having them do it at their place?
Yeah, well, okay, that's a great question. We hear it all the time. I think that there's a huge difference between coming into a fun environment and where kids are allowed to have fun and are encouraged to have fun, working with a bunch of other students, and having it as a facility that is known in your community to be an outreach for technology as well. That's really the biggest principle behind having a retail location as opposed to maybe a home-based location or in-school locations. And the answer to your question is we only do training, or we only host our dojo in the retail location.
All right, cool. That was the thing. And in terms of ages, and probably missed it, what is the target audience? Is it just 7 to 14? That's really
7 to 14 is our general terms. The 7-year-old side of that is because, most 6-year-olds can't read well enough to go through a self-paced program by themselves. But if they're a really great reader, they can go early. We do actually have a couple of 6-year-olds. On the upper side, we really don't think it mixes well for a lot of upper class, high schoolers to be in the room with mostly elementary and middle schoolers. So it's just kind of excluding them on that side of the equation. And our brand is just really cartoony, and I don't think they're super interested. What we're seeing is our average is 9.5 years old. Our sweet spot is, 8 to 11, 12 years old, somewhere in there.
All right. And within that segment of the kid, have you seen any rotation, or what's the usual term for one of your kids? Is they say a month, 2 months? I mean, you've been in March, so the most you can say is 2-3 quarters, right?
So our attrition rate is very low. I mean, like I said, Harvey did throw a little bit of a wrench in that, and we were really making sure we took care of our community there. If you exclude the Harvey months, it's less than probably 5% attrition. And it might have got up to 8 or 9% attrition because of the hurricane.
Yeah, no, that was terrible.
Yeah, so we're seeing that people are staying on, and there's a couple of different reasons for that. We really promote a tiered pricing structure for a long-term commitment. So we offer 6 and 12-month terms that are better than the month-to-month rate. But also, I think we do a damn good job of just getting the kids in there and letting them have a great time. The biggest complaint that we got from a recent survey was that the kids couldn't come often enough. So they're asking us to come 3 days a week instead of just 2. So, I mean, that's a testament to why they're sticking around so well.
Right. No, and I'm a true believer in teaching technology early. So, yeah, I'm totally agree on that.
Cool. Any other questions?
No, that's it. Thank you.
Great. Thanks for the call. Hi, how are you doing?
Hi, David. This is Barry from Atlanta. How are you?
I'm doing great, Barry. How are you?
Good. Very excited to be getting going over here. A lot of things going on.
Yeah.
So, question, I'm very excited about this new program that is inspired by your son. Obviously, we were all talking about it, too, that we really want robotics. But you said that's going to be integrated into the existing curriculum. And going back to your point just a minute ago about, not being enough hours in a week, how do you see that happening,
Sure.
Coding?
Yeah, sure. Just to be clear to everybody on the call, Barry is a franchisee out of Atlanta, so I want to be upfront about that. What we see is going to happen is we're going to have quarterly releases and versioned releases of the curriculum. And so we already have some robotics training in our current curriculum, the way it stands, but it's not a proprietary product or a licensed product specifically for us. So this is just adding to what we're already doing in a very unique way that no one else can duplicate. So it's not adding any more time to the length of the program, particularly, Bari, but it is adding a very unique aspect that the kids can only have this experience with us, which makes you a differentiator.
No, I understood. I was just wondering, like, when they're going through the program through different belts and they're learning certain skills, is the idea to add this physical component to their coding exercises and just kind of make it?
Absolutely. You'll learn a lot of this at new franchisee training. I know you haven't come to that just yet, but so we have every belt has a coding aspect. Every belt in our track, in the drop-in track, has a robotics. Every belt will have a capstone project, meaning like a little graduation project that they have to do to go on to the next belt. They'll have a full glossary of terms and table of contents. And then they'll also have a section in there on how to use the tools, how to save your project and that kind of stuff. So every belt is comprehensive in that it has the same kind of formula. We have coding, robotics, capstone for the general lessonry.
Okay. Thank you, David.
Does that make sense?
Yep.
I'm excited to see you getting going, man.
Yeah, absolutely. Very excited.
When do you think you'll be open? What's your projected opening timeline?
It all depends on finding the location. So, within 3 months of finding the location, max 3 months, hopefully we find the right place and it doesn't need a lot of work. So it'll be sooner. I mean, I was hoping by December, but it may bleed into January. Let's see.
Okay, man. Sounds great. Excited for you.
Thank you.
Hey, how's it going?
Good. How are you? My name's Sid, and I'm from the Detroit area, and I had a set of questions.
Okay, shoot.
All right. So I looked at your locations, and I saw that there's no Michigan. So is that flexible, or how does that be determined by your team?
So Michigan is available. We just haven't had the right franchisee walk in the door yet. So we're registered in all 50 states. We're compliant with all federal and local state laws. So it's very available.
Right. So that's good to know. And the next question was that, like, I saw the curriculum. So is there flexibility or openness to do things that is more than the games? I know that Minecraft and some of those things are pretty exciting to learn and build, but what if you wanted to do Ruby or any of that? Is that
Yes, so that's a great question, and I appreciate you bringing it up. A lot of people asked us this question this week at Discovery Day. So here, as a brand, we have to be consistent across the country with everything that we release. And so I don't mind. I actually encourage it. Franchisees bringing us new opportunities to add curriculum to our program. That's just like what I was telling you. I mean, we look from every direction on new robotics kits or new ways to engage the kids in a fun way that teaches them something in this edutainment space that we're living in. And I'll give you an example of how that works. So our first franchisees in North Carolina, Angeli and V, they came to us. V said, my kid is really, really excited about these 3D printers and stuff, but I just don't know where to start. How do I get him in? Can we start a curriculum in a summer camp program for that? And I said, V, that is cool, and it's definitely technology. I just don't have time. We've got a ton of other things. Why don't we do this? Why don't we look through the web and see if there's a curriculum already offered, and then maybe next summer you can guinea pig that for us, and if it works that we can use that curriculum, we'll roll it out to everyone. Well, that's exactly what we did, and luckily we were able to look at MakerBot, and if you buy their machine, they'll give you a 1-week kids curriculum that goes along with it, which is perfect. And so he was really excited about that. I'm really excited about seeing if it works. And if it does work, that's just something else that we can add to the program that makes the kids happy. Is that a good example?
No, that is a very good example. I dabble in code myself, and I like to try out things like Raspberry Pis and.
Sure. What we have to avoid, though, so what we have to avoid is just people going out and doing their own thing and getting away from our core, and so if there's something that you want to teach that's not one of our programs, you do have to get permission before doing that. I want to be very clear. But as long as we've given you permission and you want to try a new program, and we may say no, I mean that's well within our right to say no. We don't think that that's something that we want to get into. As long as you can follow the right procedures, we don't have a problem with bringing new things to light.
Right. My next question was what is the interaction level? So if you were doing coding, then it makes sense to look at the computer and follow with the directions and whatever instructions are given. But what if it's part of your robotics thing? Is there a demo that somebody does, or I would do, or the chosen person handling it would do? Is there any more interaction than just coming and sitting on the table and speaking with your friends and?
So I hear you saying, is there a hardware camp or something like that? Is that what you mean?
Kind of. I was that component, and also the interaction level of the person really handling it.
Yeah, I think it's a misconception, because I think what most people think of when they think learning how to code is that we're all sitting in a corner, like in our mom's basement or something, still in the dark ages with pocket protectors. So I think we got to get that misconception out, because when you come in our classroom at Code Ninjas, it's fun. Kids are up, they're talking to the guy next to them. One kid is saying, "Hey man, I see that you got that thing to do. Tacos fall from the sky. How did you make the tacos fall from the sky? I got to get a cat on here with a rainbow, and it's kind of the same thing." It's whatever. Who knows? They dream up the weirdest stuff sometimes, but it's definitely not a sit at your desk, go step by step, paint by numbers kind of experience. Once they start learning how to do stuff, they are engaged with each other. They're up, they're talking, they're laughing, and we want to promote that. A very, very team building and creative, crafty, just mindscape in that room. It's a very fun thing to do. Now, to answer your question, though, I think we should have workshops, like Saturday workshops where, a parent and a child, mom and dad, whatever, where their kid can come in, learn how to build a computer from scratch, go through everything, top to bottom. What is a processor? How does RAM work? I've heard these words before, but I have no idea what it means. That kind of stuff. I think that's a big opportunity to be an advocate for your community. That kind of stuff, I wouldn't even charge for it. It wouldn't even be a thing. I would advertise it. I would get people to come in and do it. And it was just like another thing that would make people realize that you're part of the community in a bigger way than just trying to sell them, some kind of kid's product.
Right. No. I didn't mean that we could go back to the regimented kind of factory learning, because we have enough of that and it's not working. But what I was saying was that if a whole bunch of kids, had a doubt, who would they ask? They could ask their buddies, but there would be someone to kind of just nudge them in case they got stuck or they did not understand something.
I see what you're saying. So, okay, sure. So every classroom is going to have a 10-to-1 ratio of code senseis to students. So our senseis are trained by going through the program all the way top to bottom, and it takes them about 1 or 2 weeks typically to go through the entire program, because they're doing it full time basically, and so they go through and get it all done. And what's hard for a 7 to 10-year-old is pretty easy for a 17 to 21-year-old. So they're able to go through the program completely and just understand everything, so then they can help the kids. And it's just like you said, it's self-paced, but they're doing it by themselves. I mean, they're doing it for themselves, but not by themselves. So they read through the material. You're right. They first usually ask their buddy sitting next to them, "Hey, how did you do that?" And then they ask the sensei. The sensei's wearing a special T-shirt, so everybody knows he's the one to go to in the classroom.
Right. Okay. Is there is there a certain mass or a volume or a number of branches at which, in your experience, this becomes, or is the fastest break even, or any numbers that we can like have a rough estimate at, kind of a ballpark number?
Like where we'll max out at?
No, at what is the minimum, the critical mass needed for this to work? How many?
Of students? I'm sorry, are you saying of students?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah,
that's not something I can tell you, actually. There's certain things that I can't get into, and the top-line revenue numbers or how they relate to your profitability is not something I can talk about. That's not me. If it was me, this whole process would take about 2 days. You would make your decision. I would show you my P&Ls, and then we would sign documents, and that would be it. But the federal government steps in and says that we have a lot of rules. So you need to look at the FDD if you want to know more about what we can disclose as far as what we can talk about on the revenue side. In our first 30-plus days, I think it's 60 days, I think we did $35,000 in revenue, something like that. It's in the FDD, though, in our item 19. Look at it specifically. And if you don't have an FDD, you just need to reach out to Marty or Jeff, and they can get that over to you real quick.
Okay. And my last question was that there is Coder School and RoboThink. How do these competitors relate to Code Ninjas?
Yeah, that's a great question. Marty and Jeff can go into those into extreme detail. We have some competitive charts that we show how we're different. Let's start with the RoboThink, though. RoboThink is a $50,000 franchise fee, and their total all-in costs are about 19%. Of gross revenue. Just on that side as a business, that's a little bit more arduous for you to become profitable. We're $20,000 and roughly 11% after you're all in. But RoboThink is doing some things right too. We're not dissuading you from looking at them. They're different in the way that they don't have a 4-year curriculum. Their curriculums are all 4 to 6 weeks long. We have, and that's the same thing with the Coder School. Additionally, the Coder School doesn't seem to want to be expanding aggressively. I'm not saying that negatively. That's just not their MO right now. We've had quite a few franchisees that looked at them and ended up coming with us because of different reasons. But sometimes it was they sold the whole state of North Carolina, and sometimes it was they're not opening on Long Island or whatever. They just didn't seem to be aggressively wanting to scale their business. So, and additionally, the Coder School has a little bit different revenue model, and they definitely have a lower student-to-teacher ratio than we do because it's not a self-paced program. So you'll have to hire more senseis, so to speak. They call them code coaches, but you'll have to hire more code coaches in order to facilitate that. That's kind of the competitive breakdown between us and why we think we're a little bit more better opportunity, if that's what you're asking.
No, that was very clear. Thank you so much. And that was all my questions for now. I'll reach with Marty and Jeff.
Okay. Yeah. I think if you want the full breakdown, we have a side-by-side analysis that you can get sent over. So, cool. Thanks for the call and the questions. This is the last question in the queue for right now. I do have a few more minutes here. If you have a question, go ahead and hit *6 on your phone, and we'll get you started. Hi, how are you doing? What's your question?
Hi, this is Nirav Bowser. I'm from Maryland.
Hi, how are you?
I'm doing good. Thank you for this call. It's an amazing opportunity. I'm very excited about this, gathering as much information as I can. I have a couple of questions. So one of the biggest concern that we have in the IT industry is that lack of participation of girls. Obviously, is there any special program that you roll out that we can?
I am so glad you asked this question because, I was a programmer for 25 years, and you're right, it is a concern. I probably worked with 2 or 3 programmers in my entire career that were female, which is just a travesty, right? I mean,
it's a big opportunity, right? I mean, there's like 50% of the population, we are not addressing them, so.
Yeah, well, here's the good news. What we're seeing at Code Ninjas is that about 40% of our kids are female. So little girls are interested in programming, and they are coming to Code Ninjas. Now we're going to be running knowing that the population is 50-50, male to female, it doesn't seem, and we're already hitting about 40%. At this time, we're not making a huge push to get more girls in, other than collaborating with people like Girls Who Code and things like that, who are already doing great work in that space. Now, if once we get a whole bunch open and the national average is much different, I think we would have a great argument to have a big national push for Girls Who Code and get more girls coming in. But right now what we're seeing is that, it's off a little bit. It's 40-60, but that's a lot better than I thought it was going to be. And the girls are having a great time right alongside the boys. We've got the girl ninja and the boy ninja in our marketing and our branding, and the girls love it as much as the boys do. So
that's fantastic. I'm surprised, like it's 40%. That's really good news.
You were surprised too.
Yeah.
Like knowing the history and the demographics of it, it was very surprising and enlightening. That I think the programmers of tomorrow are going to look a lot different than the programmers of today. That's for sure.
Yes. And the next question I have is, do you have any plans on working with county school systems to either promote this program or make it more in collaboration with them?
Yeah, so that's going to be really up to on a franchisee by franchisee level. Every single bureaucracy in county, state, city, and otherwise is going to be so much different. It's hard to roll out a program that would be very, very close to even resembling each other, right? I mean, the bureaucracies involved in red tape to get into one school even is just different, even in my local community here. So we don't have a national rollout plan or anything like that to get into the schools, but and we don't promote going into the schools and selling or teaching our product. We really want kids to come back to our center to be that localized retail experience for learning. But there's different ways you can work with the schools around you. For example, we're doing a trunk or treat, for the trick or treating out of the trunk of a car kind of thing, where all the businesses pull up a truck or a trunk and then hand out free candy and swag and stuff like that from our local schools here. We have tons of different opportunities like that to sponsor carnivals and that kind of stuff, and that's really been the best outreach that we can do in integrating with what the schools are doing in our local market. And our PR firm, Fishman PR, will help you identify opportunities in the local market for endorsements and things like that.
Okay, great. Thank you so much.
All right. All right, I think this is going to be my last call in the Q&A session. I do appreciate everybody's time today. Hi, how are you doing?
I'm doing well. This is Kyle from Dallas, and appreciate all the information that you provided today.
Cool. Hi, Kyle.
Hi, a few quick questions. So you mentioned the drop-in model, so 1 hour, 2 times per week, but how does a student normally sign up for that? Are they signed up on a monthly recurring, or can they do 6-month options, annual options, just from a pricing standpoint, just trying to get a better understanding of that one?
Yeah. Yes, is all of the above. So
okay.
It is a monthly fee. We charge that monthly as a monthly fee. So, sometimes they'll come 10 times if it's a 5-week month, and sometimes they'll come 4 times. So, that's not really that big of a deal.
Right.
It kind of rolls out in the wash, so to speak. We charge $225 per month for our month-to-month, and then, for example, if they give us a 6-month commitment, we drop that to $199, and if they give us a 12-month commitment, we drop that to $188. So we tier our pricing, and those prices, as over time, go up a little bit, as we get more students and it fills up. Now, if a parent comes to us and says, hey, I just want to pay for the whole year, can I get a discount? Of course we're going to give them a discount. I think that's $18.99 if they pay it all in full. And then a 6-month as well, and it's probably our most popular thing that people buy is the 6-month paid in full, which is $9.99, which is a substantial discount is why they do it. $9.99 divided by 6 that gets it down to $166.50 a month, and that's really, really popular.
Okay, thank you. That's me there.
Yeah, and so there's different options and different opportunities. I want to be clear, though, that all those prices and everything I just said is totally and 100% up to the franchisee. If you don't want to do paid in full discounts, or you don't want to tier your prices, you want to only have a month-to-month price, whatever you want to do is totally 100% up to the franchisee.
Sure. No, it makes sense.
Okay.
So I know for the weekend, so that's like the Monday to Friday model, but I know you talked about maybe Saturday workshops. I'm just trying to see what options there were because I know another person mentioned earlier, sometimes, students are busy during the week and maybe they wanted to do a Saturday morning class or something like that. Just
sure.
want to see what options were for the weekends as well.
We just opened up Saturday from 10 to 2 to give a little more flexibility for parents to bring their kids in on a Saturday. So, and we just had so many kids, it was getting kind of full during the week, so we wanted to have a release valve there. But, the more hours you add, obviously you got a staff and that's expenses going up. So we were able to maximize profitability by keeping it to a Monday through Friday until it got too full.
Sure. Okay, that makes sense.
We didn't see kids turning away, because they couldn't come on Saturday. That was never an issue.
Okay. So last question, I know you were just getting into the robotics side of things, but are you looking at some point, either now or in the future, to having maybe robotics teams? Like there's teams that compete in Lego robotics and, just different avenues.
Yeah, sure. So I think there's a very good opportunity and a high probability that we're going to get into center-to-center network championship kind of things where, in Houston, for example, we already have 7 or 8 centers coming up, and in Dallas, I think there's something like 16. So you would have a lot of opportunity to do, a localized championship round, Sweet 16, as it were.
That'd be awesome. That'd be a fun opportunity for the kids to advance beyond their classes and work as a group and things like that. So, okay, that's good.
Yeah, and that's all going to come back to the collaboration and the tools that we give you to work with your fellow franchisees. A big part of what we do here is to make sure that we get everybody talking real quick as soon as you start the program, and make sure you start engaging on everything from buying supplies to setting up events and coordinating pricing. We don't want everybody to be super competitive against each other and race to the bottom on pricing. So let's set some standards in a local market and be all on the same page. There's a lot of stuff you're going to collaborate with your fellow franchisees with. Recently, since we've been growing so fast, some people were a little bit worried, like, man, people are going to come in, they're going to drop their prices, and we do have some pricing standards set in place so that they don't do that. But at the end of the day, I don't think it's in anybody's benefit, franchisee or otherwise, to drop their prices and be super competitive. I don't see franchisees being close to each other as being competitive because parents don't drive super far to come to the centers for very long. So you're not really competing. And another thing about that is we don't really overlap our territories. It's not in the company's best interest to have more franchisees overlapping territories. We're a percentage-based royalty. It makes sense for us to have coverage over an area, and that means that we'll be able to cover more kids if we don't, overlap you guys. So we really set this up so that you're not competing against your fellow franchisee, that you have enough space and enough kids in your area to make it successful and not have to poach from other areas and that kind of thing. And so the collaboration between those franchisees is already happening. You can talk to Anjali and V or or anybody up there. They're getting it done and they're working together, and they've got an article written coming out in some paper in North Carolina talking about the women of the area, how they're starting up coding schools and all that kind of stuff. So it's really kind of an exciting time to see the collaboration and things going on between the franchisees in the areas. So, and what you were talking about, having a Sweet 16 robotics tournament or a coding tournament for that matter, is just a big part of that. I got one more call in the queue, and then I'm really, for real this time, going to have to go. But go ahead and ask your question really quickly, and I'm going to turn off the question and answer.
Hey, David, this is Barry again. A quick question. Obviously you're talking about robotics. Are there any other programs that are in the pipeline that you're thinking of maybe turning on in the next 6 months or so?
Yeah, thanks for the question, Barry. So the answer to that we always have new things in the pipeline, and I just can't announce anything right this second, but there are definitely new products that we're bringing to the forefront. We're bringing new abilities to our centers to teach in different ways or to bring games to their community in different ways. So there's a lot of stuff coming down the pipe. In the next 6 months, this is going to be just, a totally different experience, but it's just in the same vein of what we're doing right now. I mean, we're going to have so much more and so much more. It's not like right now we're less than, though. Right now what we have is amazing. It's doing great things. People love it. The kids love it. The parents love it. And the center is doing well. So it's always going to be a not done situation for us. Our curriculum is never done. The programs that we offer are never enough. We're always going to be adding new and exciting programs to keep people engaged and keep the community excited about Code Ninjas. So I really appreciate everybody's time today on the call. This has been a really great call, a lot of great questions. I walk around HQ here every day just with a smile on my face, and the excitement is palpable. Everybody here is just into it every single day, and it's a great time to be a part of Code Ninjas, and we welcome you to become the next franchisee. As I said earlier, if you haven't already done so, you need to reach out to Marty Flanagan or Jeff Thames. If you haven't talked to either one of those guys, just reach out to Marty and he'll get you to the right person. Marty at codeninjas.com. That's MARTY at codeninjas.com. Thanks a lot for your time. I look forward to working with you guys in the future.